Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ask Learning Grammar class. And today we will be looking into perfect tense, or we'll be continuing with verbs and tenses. And in the last class, we had discussed present perfect. Today we will be discussing past perfect, and possibly, if we can, we will also continue with future tense. All right. So to begin with, we had already understood the three different forms of past tense. Okay. There was a simple past, there was a continuous past or in progress past, and we had also looked into emphatic past. The three types of past tense. If you have joined us for the first time, all these sessions are recorded and they're already there in our on our Facebook page, and you can go through them in the videos section. They're named as Grammar Class Episode 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. So, as I said, let's begin with the past perfect tense. Okay. Now, in the present perfect tense, when we are discussing present perfect, we had learnt that this word have, H-A-V-E, have, and has, H-A-S. These were the two words which were used in the present perfect tense. When we come to the past perfect, this have or has, these words will change into something that's called had, H-A-D. Okay. So, let's look at few examples. Work will become had worked. Now that's simple perfect. I'll be going deeper into it, but people who have attended the previous class, they would understand this is simple perfect. Now this is continuous perfect. Similarly, had carried, simple perfect past. You can say it in any order. You can call it perfect, past, simple, does not matter. But this class or these series of classes are more oriented on the usage rather than the names and the definitions that they carry. Rather than that, we are more we'll be concentrating more on the usage of these elements. Okay. So whatever you want to call it, you can call it simple past perfect or past perfect simple tense, however you want to call it, it's up to you. But understand, when we are talking about something in the past perfect tense, this is how we generally use it. The most common word that you will see here is had. Okay. Now, when is a past perfect tense used? When do we use a past perfect tense? That's the first thing that comes to our head, or the first question. When are we supposed to use it? So, suppose an action began in the past. Suppose you are playing football. You were playing football. Okay. So, in India right now it's 1:37 p.m. in the afternoon. Okay. Suppose you went to play football in the morning. Suppose you went to play football in the morning. Okay. And let's say you went there by 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. You played for an hour or so. Okay. And let's say by 10:30, 11, 9 to 11 you played football. A good 2 hours you played football. Okay. Now, if you want to speak about this particular thing, if you like to speak about this, which tense would you use? This is an action which started in the past and ended in the past as well. You started playing football today 9 a.m. You stopped playing football today by 11 a.m. Both times, both the events, the start and the end, both these events happened in the past. To describe such an event, you would use a past perfect tense. Okay? We had played football from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Had played. Okay? That shows that this action started in the past and it ended in the past. That's why we used the word had. Now that you know the usage, you should also start noting some things here. Whenever we are using had, the next word is in the past tense. See, had worked, had carried. Is it had worked? No. It's had worked, ed form. Carried, ed form. Spoken, en. So, what are all these? They're all participle forms. Okay? Again, we had discussed this in the when we did the present perfect. Even there we saw participle form. I have spoken to him, with him. I have spoken with him. Have spoken. That's present. Have. Present. Present perfect. Have spoken. Similarly, in the past perfect, we will say, I had spoken with him. Okay? Okay. Now, it's not just sentences where we use perfect tense. You can also use perfect tense. You would have seen this already. Perfect tense being used in questions. Have you spoken? Had you spoken? Okay, and it's also used with words like this. Not. When you use such words, it negates whatever you are saying. So if you want to say, I have not spoken, or you have not spoken, that's when this usage becomes clear. Okay, no rocket science here, nothing much has happened here, just that they've just put a not between these two words, have spoken or had spoken. That's all. So these are the little variations that you would see. So let's look into a small exercise, and we will go through both these exercises and close this chapter. So what do we need to do? What do we have to do here? We have to rewrite the present perfect tense in the past perfect tense. So all these sentences are given in the present perfect. They will either be written with have, H-A-V-E, or has, H-A-S. That's present perfect. You have to change them into past perfect. Past perfect, that is had, H-A-D. So Julio has written him a few letters. We can change this into Julio had written him a few letters. Simple, right? So anyone would like to answer this?
I had been writing a novel.
I had been writing a novel. Now what has changed here? You see a new word. Not a new word, We have seen this word earlier also, been. This was used in the present perfect tense. Anyone would like to answer where did we see this in present perfect? Which form of present perfect? There were two forms.
Continuous.
Yes. When we discussed the present perfect tense, we understood that present perfect has two subsections, if you'd like to say, call it like that. It had two subsections. One is simple present perfect. The other was continuous present perfect. When we use the continuous present perfect, that's when we saw this been. So again, people who have joined in today, who are doing this class for the first time here, please, you can go back and watch the videos, earlier videos, and things will be much clearer for you. Okay? Okay. So this been is used generally whenever we want to say something that is continuing. So even in the past tense, we have this continuous present perfect past. Let me say that again. Even in the perfect past tense, we have two forms. One is simple and one is continuous. Just like present. Okay? So, this sentence right now here is written in the perfect present continuous tense. I'm repeating that. Perfect. Why perfect? Because of this word. Have. Why continuous? Because of ing. Okay? So, this sentence, as I said, is written in perfect present. One second. Yeah. It's written in perfect present continuous. Okay? So make these make some learning, clear some learning elements for yourself. Whenever you see have, has, or had, you should understand that that sentence is a perfect sentence. It's using the perfect tense. Okay? If you see something, a verb with ing, if you see a verb with ing, a verb ending with ing, please understand it is not only perfect, but it is now perfect continuous. Now you have to determine if it is the past or if it is in the present. How do you check that? By looking at this word again. For it to be past, the only word that can come here is had. Other than that, the other two words that you will see here is have and has. If you see that, if you see both these two words, then this is in the present. So, as we have already answered, the answer to this would be I had been writing a novel. Perfect, past, continuous. Okay? Okay, let's look at the fourth one. She has cut her finger.
She had cut her finger.
She had cut her finger. Okay? Cut will not change because the participle form of cut is cut itself. Okay? There's no change there. So she had cut her finger. That's this answer. Okay? The girls have stayed home again. Sorry. The girls have stayed home again.
The girls had stayed home again.
Very good. The girls had stayed home again. Okay? Great. So let's move on to the next exercise. Now you're given present tense sentences. Okay, they are not perfect present. They do not have has or have or had. They are not perfects. Okay, they are just present tense. That's all that's been told to us. What do we need to do? We have to make them into past perfect. Okay, so past perfect, one word that we will be adding here is had. Okay, and after the word had, we will be using a participle form of the verb. So had written, had spoken, things will change like that. Okay, so let's look at the present tense sentence here. That is, the woman takes the girl home. Now, takes, which present tense is this? Can anyone tell me here?
Simple present.
Simple present. Very good. This is the simple present. Takes the girl home. Okay. And how do we understand this is simple present? By looking at the verb. By looking at the verb, take. Verb is action. In Hindi we call it kriya. Okay, the verb is take, and it's in the simple present form, and that's why we have used takes. Okay, now we have to change this verb into the participle form. What is the participle form of take?
Taken.
Taken. Now to make it perfect, what will you put? You have to make past perfect. Will you put has or have or had?
Had.
So this is the subject. The woman, what will we put here?
Had
Yes,
taken the girl home.
had taken the girl home. Good. That's all. So we changed a simple present tense into a past perfect tense. Okay. How did we start? We first identified the verb. Then we looked at the verb carefully and we understood that the verb is in the simple present. How did we understand that? By looking at this S. Takes. So simple present. Take is the verb. We have to change this. Now, perfect tense. We need to make sure that we have this verb in the participle form. So take was changed to taken. And since it is perfect, we also have to add one more word here. That was had. So the woman had taken the girl home. That's all. Let's do the next one. We ride on a train.
We were ridden on a train.
We had ridden on a train.
We had ridden on a train. Yes, you can say that. Okay, that's correct. In fact, yes, that would be correct here. Okay, so good. Let's look at the next one. I always speak Spanish. I always speak Spanish. What can we do here?
I had always spoken Spanish.
Good. I had always. Speak is the verb. Okay. Speak will become spoken. Now many of you would be confused. Sir, shouldn't it be I always had spoken Spanish? Understand, had comes right after the subject. Here the subject is I. Here the subject was woman. Had came after that. Here the subject was we. Had came after that. Here the subject is I. So had will come after I. I had always spoken Spanish. Okay. Okay. Let's look at the next one. Next one. You can ignore the next one. That's a question. Generally, as you know, I do not cover questions because this is specifically for IELTS, and you're not supposed to ask questions in your IELTS essays, or you're not supposed to use questions or even rhetorical questions in your IELTS answer sheets, be it spoken, be it speaking, be it writing. You're not supposed to use them. So this this is not applicable for us, so I'm skipping that. Moving on to the next one. Rebecca does not remember. Okay. How would you change this? Here, what is the verb? First tell me that. What is the verb?
Does. Remember.
Remember.
Yes. Okay. So remember will become remembered. Is there an en form for remember? No. Remember, remembered, remembered. Okay. So remembered is the verb. Okay. Now where is the subject?
Rebecca.
Okay. So after Rebecca, what will come?
Had.
Had. Now do you know? Do you need this does? Do we need this? No. You can remove this from the sentence. So Rebecca had not remembered. Okay. Now you would ask me, so why did you remove does? If you remember, does is used to show something, let's say, whenever you are trying to write an emphatic sentence, the third type of present tense, past tense. Do you speak English? I do speak English. Why did we say I do speak English? To emphasize. Okay, we used I do speak English. Okay, so here does is used to emphasize this, and this is used when you are saying something in the present emphatic or past emphatic. Here it is present emphatic. In those tenses you will use it, but whenever you are changing the sentence into any other tense, that is right now, like we change this into a perfect tense, in that case you do not need this emphasis. So that's why we removed it. It was redundant here, it was not required here, it was in fact making the sentence unclear. So we will not say Rebecca had does not remember. No, that does element is described already by that had. So Rebecca had not remembered. Okay. So again, sixth one is a question, so we are skipping that. Let's look at the seventh. I am going to the movies.
I had been going to the movies.
I had been going to the movies. Okay. So am will change to had. I had been going. Why did we add been going? Because we saw that the sentence is in continuous tense. Okay, so we changed it into past continuous or past in progress. So just a quick, I hope the exercise. Oh, we have few more. Okay. Cindy teaches us English. Cindy, that's the subject.
had
Hmm.
taught us English.
Taught us English. Okay, good. We play the same game.
We had played the same game.
We had played the same game. Bethany writes in her diary.
Bethany had written in her diary.
Very good. Bethany had written in her diary. Okay, so that's the exercise, and just a quick recap. Okay, we have discussed past perfect tense. How do we show past? By using this word had. Okay, after had, the next word would be a in most cases the next word would be a verb. Okay, and this verb would be in the participle form, that is en. Okay, just remember participle form as some more words which generally end with en. Okay, not all words will end with en. Remember will end with remembered. That's a participle form. It will not be rememberen. There is no word like that. So many such words are there which do not have a participle form, or which do not end with this en. Spoken. Okay, that's a word which ends with en. But worked remains worked even in the participle form. It does not change to en. There is no workin. There is no word like that. Okay, so that's all we have to remember in the past perfect tense, that we need to use had along with a participle verb. That's all. And if you are saying that in the continuous past perfect tense, then it will become had been, and the verb will be in the ing form. Okay, so I hope past perfect tense is clear for most of you here. We have done an exercise also. We have done in fact 2 exercises, and let's move on to the third tense. Till now we had only discussed past, and before that we had discussed present. Okay, so now let's look into the future tense. Okay. Okay, so I would like you to see these, look at these sentences here. Okay, Ray is now, before I start future tense, please understand future tense is quite simple. Okay, and many a times in IELTS writing, for IELTS, with respect to IELTS, I'm speaking with respect to IELTS, the IELTS test, many a times you would be writing either in the present, some form of present, or you would be writing in some form of past. Okay, very rarely would you use a future tense. Okay, even when you are writing a report, most of your reports, IELTS academic reports or letters, would all be written in a past or variations of past and present. Okay, very rarely would you see the usage of future tense. Okay, now in reports sometimes they would ask you to they would give you some data which is a forecast for the next 50 years. Let's say you have the population growth chart for the last 50 years and the next 50 years. Okay, in that case, of course, when you're talking about a forecast, when you're talking about the future, you would use the future tense. You might have to use the future tense. Okay, similarly in a letter, you are going to visit a friend of yours in the next few months, and you would like to plan it, and future plans, So the letter is something related to something that's going to happen in the future. The letter might be related to something that's going to happen in the future. In that case also, you might have to use the future tense, but as I said, most of the times you would be working with past and present. Okay, so that being said, let's move on with future tense and let's understand the different ways of showing or implying a future tense. Okay. Now let's look at this sentence. Ray, R-A-Y, Ray, that's the name of a person. Ray is going to school today. Okay. What is the tense of the sentence? Forget this word today. Okay. You can forget this word today. Just look at the rest of the sentence. Ray is going to school. Which tense is this? Ray is going to school.
Present continuous.
It is present continuous. Okay. Now present tense is used along with the word today. Okay, so the meaning is intact, the sentence is in the present tense, and what are we talking about? We are talking about something that's happening today, and we're talking about something that's there in the present. So that's why they have written here present tense. Now I would like you to look at the next sentence. Ray is going to school tomorrow. If you look at the first part of the sentence, that is Ray is going to school, the sentence is still the same. Did the sentence change? No, it's still the same. So it's still using the present tense. Ray is going. Okay. But how did we show that this is in the future? By changing the word today to tomorrow. That is one way of changing something in the present to tomorrow, to future. Okay? If you want to change something in the present to the future, you can change this word here, which refers or which shows time or which is a reference to time. If you just change this word, the sentence will become something that's going to happen in the future. So somebody asks you, when is Ray going to school? So you will be answering, Ray is going to school tomorrow. Look at one more example and things I think would be clear here. They are traveling to Mexico today. Which tense is this? They are traveling. Traveling.
Present continuous.
Present continuous. Okay. They are traveling to Mexico today. Present continuous. They are traveling to Mexico tomorrow. Just because we are using tomorrow, the whole sentence, even though the first part of the sentence was in present continuous, now if you look at the whole sentence, this is now in the future tense. They are implying the future tense. Okay, I would not say the sentence is now in future tense, but rather I would say they mean something is going to happen in the future, or they are trying to disclose an information or an action that is going to happen in the future. Okay. Now So one technique that we learned is by changing these references to time. If you change these references to time to future, the sentence meaning would change. The sentence will change its tense. Not meaning exactly, but its tense. From present to future. Another way of doing this is by using these two words, that is, shall or will. Okay? So, let's look at few examples. Go, a word like go. I go to the museum. Okay? If you want to say that in future, I will go to the museum, or I shall go to the museum. Both these words, will or shall, they indicate something that is going to happen in the future, or not just that, they also indicate some kind of desire. Okay, but that's not what we are talking about right now. We are talking about the usage of these words to show future, the future tense. Now, the one that I've highlighted right now, this one, I shall go. Now that's simple. Okay, that's in the simple future. If you want to use a continuous future, or an action which is in progress, or an action which is incomplete, if you want to show that, few things will change. I shall be going. Okay, in the past tense, let's go back and compare this with the past tense. In the past tense, which word were we using here instead of be? Been. I had been going, right? I had been working, I had been driving. Which word did we use in the present? Same, been. I have been driving. She has been driving. The word been, which was used earlier in the past and in the present perfect tense, continuous, that word been is now changed to be. So I shall be going. This is future continuous. Just remember this difference, that been that we used to add in the past and present. I had been going, I had been working, I have been working. That been has changed to be. And so two forms of future tense we understood. One is the simple future, I shall go, I will go. Or I will be going. Okay.